Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Folks Talking Sports, presented by the Houston Roundball Review. Presents Folks Talking Sports, sponsored by 5 Star Properties. I'm Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Joining me is Andy Yanez from Gallery Sports and Willy Gibson from WTG and everything else associated with Ohio, WTG Sports and Will Knows, etc. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing well.
And Andy just was mentioning to us breaking news about, and if you got any more info on it, go ahead. Let me go ahead and give the first plug of the show. Folks Talking Sports is sponsored by 5 Star Properties, a Dallas-based company owned by a UH alum. If you are facing foreclosure or need to sell your house as is for cash, call 972-532-SELL. One more time, 972-532-SELL, or visit their website at 5starprops.com, FIVESTARPROPS.com. Andy, the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, I'm looking at so it's several outlets that are reportedly or that are reporting that Alabama forward Darius Miles is being charged with capital murder on Sunday. And this is from AL.com. It's a local news outlet in Alabama covering Tuscaloosa, and I'm gonna read a little bit of their article that they have here, but it said University of Alabama basketball player Darius Miles is one of 2 suspects charged with capital murder in a pre-dawn deadly shooting in the Strip in Tuscaloosa. It was announced Saturday that the forward is going to be rolled out for the remainder of the season due to an ankle injury. And according to AL.com, less than 24 hours, or a little bit more than 24 hours later, he was being led in handcuffs into the Tuscaloosa County Jail. He's only 21 years old, and there's more coming as obviously the story continues to develop. That was one outlet that's reporting it. On3.com, which usually is kind of the one of the websites. Obviously there's a lot of websites when it comes to recruiting and all that stuff. They are also reporting that Miles is being charged with capital murder, and kind of similar along those lines, they also included a video from Ben Flanagan at this Ben Flanagan on Twitter, who's a reporter for AL.com. So it's all connected when it comes to those 2 outlets. But it was a video of Miles leaving the Tuscaloosa County Jail, handcuffed, and like I said again, he's being charged with capital murder in Tuscaloosa, and of a 23-year-old woman that was shot to death while driving in that strip in Tuscaloosa.
Wow.
Authorities have not released her name yet, and it happened at about 1:45 in the morning. Saturday. Today's Saturday morning or Sunday morning, 1:45 in the morning.
Wow.
That's when that happened.
I mean, there's not much to say. It's tragic, shocking, sad. But, I'm not going to get into we don't know a lot of details, so let's not go into
and
too
again,
much
it's still
more.
reported at this time. No concrete proof, but it's all reported. They're all allegations as of this point.
Yeah.
I did see where the university has removed Darius Miles from the basketball website. And Coach Nate Oates did make a statement as well, expressing condolences for the victim. And as you said, Kris, it's tragic. It's tragic. Tragic on all sides. A 23-year-old woman is no longer with us, and a 21-year-old seemingly young man who seemingly had it all is now being charged with capital murder. And it's interesting. I've always thought that, and I've always said that sports is a microcosm of society. It's just you never want to see it in this negative light, but here we are.
Yep. Yeah. On a happier note, or in the realm of sports, We're getting to Georgia, TCU, other things, but I just came back from UH men's basketball practice. The Cougs will head to New Orleans tomorrow to face Tulane on Tuesday. And Jarris Walker was there practice. He's healthy. He's over the flu. So that's positive. Big man, and I do mean big man. Yep. Cedric Lott was there. He's one of the early enrollees, part of the class of 2023 class. 23.
Mm-hmm.
But he enrolled early in January. He's on campus. He was at practice. Will. Cedric Lott could play football. Could play on a defensive line. I mean, he's like 6'8", 255, 18 years old, and apparently has never lifted a weight in his life. Okay.
Wow.
So, but he was working out with the team, shooting some free throws, doing some jump hooks with his left hand, his offhand a little bit as well. So once he spends time with strength conditioning coach, performance coach, Alan Bishop these next few months. Oh boy, my goodness, who knows how he's going to look come July 1st and Big 12 play come the fall. Boy, man. I shook his hand at Wednesday's game before the game, about an hour before. His hand just swallowed up my hand. It was huge. But yeah, he's a big young man. He's part of the very highly rated class for the Cougs, for the class 23. So that's a side note. But yeah, Jarris Walker was back at practice. The Cougs graded for Tulane in a battle for first place. I believe Tulane only has one loss as well.
5-1.
They're 5-1. Cougs 5-0, and everybody else I think has at least two losses. UCF lost, Memphis lost to UCF, and Temple lost to Memphis today on a shot at the buzzer by Houston's own Kendrick Davis. Well, a lot of bricks in that game. Last I saw, late second half of that game, the two teams will check this out, Andy. The two teams combined field goal percentage combined was 65%.
Oh man, that's what that means. They were.
Temple was at 28. Memphis at 37. Okay, 65 combined. So, yeah. But hey, it's a big win, road win for Memphis, kind of riding the ship for them because when they need it, road win as well. Tough loss for Temple. Temple will be here next Sunday against Houston Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. But, yep, Cougs 5-0, Tulane 5-1, UCF, Cincinnati, Temple, and Memphis all have two losses. So if Houston wins Tuesday on the road, they'll have two games up on everybody, 6 games into the season, six games in the conference play, just that quickly, if they win on Tuesday. Now, it's not going to be easy. Tulane's playing well. They do a lot of four-guard out. Line up and spread the floor, and so they do cause matchup problems for a lot of teams. We'll see how it all plays out in that game on Tuesday for the Cougs. But let's back up. Let's talk some football for Mr. Gibson. Did not have a show last Sunday to preview or discuss the Georgia TCU matchup. Were you surprised at all? What would you have predicted in terms of the point spread? Would you have predicted Georgia to cover?
Oh, yeah, without question. No, I didn't predict them to cover a 58-point spread. But, yeah, 13.5 was the spread I saw initially.
Yep.
And, yeah, I thought so. But that was unwatchable.
How about you, Andy? Would you have guaranteed Georgia covering that 13.5?
Now, obviously, with revisionist history, I could probably say without further doubt right now that I absolutely would have picked Georgia to cover. I think maybe heading into the game, I might have believed a little bit of the hype when it comes to TCU and the Hypnotoad. But if you look at it from an objective perspective, I think more people tended to believe that Georgia was going to roll in there and steamroll TCU, which is exactly what they did in that championship game. And, like Will said, it's a bummer because, obviously when it comes to a championship game, and especially coming off such two very competitive and very exciting games that we came off of during the semifinal, to have that be the grand finale is just kind of like but from the Georgia perspective, SEC, the Conference of Champions, but maybe now Georgia is becoming that. Well, I don't think there's much argument for the past 2 years. They're the premier program now in the SEC, and Nick Saban's group. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back after back-to-back championship years by the Bulldogs.
And Georgia's already picked as a favorite to win it in 24.
Mm-hmm.
And shockingly, Will, I know it's a big shock to you, I did not see the Houston Cougars football team in any of the way too early top 25 predictions for the upcoming season. I was floored. I just could not. I looked and looked and looked, and I just did not see it anywhere. Andy, have you seen any mention of the Houston Cougars in any of the way too early top 25 for this coming season?
I have not, and I think it with the year that they had going into the Big 12, you're not going to find the Cougars on. If you find you probably won't find them in any of them.
And clearly, I kid. But real quick, once again, Folks Talking Sports is being sponsored by 5 Star Props. 972-532-SELL. That is 972-532-7355. Visit the website at 5starprops.com. But yeah, Will, you got any comments on my pettiness?
I'll see it and raise it. I tend not to look beyond the top 5 of those things. So anything outside of the top 5, I wouldn't know. So I'll just say that.
And why is that, Mr. Gibson?
Ohio State typically lands in the 3, 4, 5 range. That's pretty much all I need to see at that point.
Must be nice living high in the penthouse there. But let me see. I think I got it somewhere. Other teams that were in it. Yes, Tulane was 19. UTSA. And don't the Cougs play UTSA non-conference, Andy?
That's week 1.
Week 1, UTSA 22
at TDCU Stadium,
but no Cougs. Shocking. TCU, Texas, K-State, Texas Tech. Those are Big 12 schools, but no Cougs. Will no Cougs.
Wow.
Imagine that. Then, but Will and Andy, of course, don't forget, Coach Holgorsen already began lowering the bar of expectations a while ago with the move into the conference, Big 12. Remember that? He kind of tried to temper the expectations. New move, new quarterback, new system. It's going to be tough. Yeah.
Just a question. How many years left on this deal? Anybody know off the top of my? How many years left on this contract? I'm just curious.
3 or 4?
3 or 4?
Too many?
Okay. So he just bought himself 2 years.
Yeah,
so
basically, yep.
Yeah, but with those statements, with those comments, he bought himself 2 years. So that 1 year, 2 year buyout is a lot less than a 4 year buyout. So I'm just saying, I'll leave that there.
What do you think? What do you say to that, Andy? Has Dana Holgorsen lowered the expectations enough that he's going to get 2 years in the Big 12 and not 1?
Well, I don't know if you, with some of the comments, I don't know if you can necessarily call it lowering expectations. I think, well, at least from the outside perspective, I think it's much more. Well, okay, let me rephrase that. The expectations were lowered, but the reason for that was because of the on-the-field performance that they flat out went out and did in the 2022 season. Like you said, coming into 2022, Houston was in those top 25 way too early. They started off the season ranked in the Associated Press poll. They were in the top 25, and then they fell off a cliff right after after week 1 when they played UTSA and they lost to Texas Tech in Lubbock. Now, when it comes to the Houston Cougars heading into 2023, first year in the Big 12,
Yes.
Expectations. There's not really, and Kris, there's no expectations for Houston to jump into the Big 12 and win the conference, which automatically means there's no expectations for them to be one of those outside contenders for the CFP, which I guess in a sense, yes, it does buy him 2 years because there is no expectation of it to make some big noise right out of the gates of the Big 12, to answer your initial question.
But Andy, Chris Pesman and President Couture said we are not going to the Big 12 just to be satisfied. We're joining to compete for championships.
Yes, and I think the vision, or at least the message that's been reiterated, is going to be a long-term project. It's not going to be year one ready to compete. And that's been the message that even before they started American Athletic Conference play this season had been talked about when Brett Yormark came about the campus. I can't remember if it was sometime in between Texas Tech and Kansas way back in September.
Okay, I'm just saying. I mean, they already lowered the bar. I mean, they've already gone. I mean, the man went 7-5 this year and he still has a job. So it's already changed from what she said years ago about we fire coaches go 8-4. So she already has gone back on the word right there. So it's January 15th. Clearly, the season hasn't started yet. Whatever. We can change these predictions now. But how many wins are you predicting for UH football in conference play, Andy?
So it looks like they're going to be guaranteed to have Texas and TCU on the schedule. And going back, that the Houston Cougars haven't been able to beat a Big 12 opponent since 2016. I believe it was that Oklahoma matchup at NRG Stadium way back when in the 26th season.
I was there. Hell of a game, hell of an atmosphere.
I'll go with 4.
4 wins in conference?
Yes. 4 wins in conference, which would put them at 4-5.
4-5. Okay. Please tell me who the 4 are. Who are the 4?
Well, it depends on the conference schedule too, but let's say they play Texas Tech, Kansas, Iowa State, and then they're going to play Texas. I think that game will be crazy at TDCU Stadium. There'll be a lot of energy inside that matchup. They could potentially hype up the team to overperform. There's going to be a lot of excitement in that building, considering, and I don't know if this is on the table or not, but if it's even being considered, it absolutely needs to not be moved away from campus. That game against Texas needs to be at the University of Houston at TDCU Stadium. Those 4 off the top of my head, potentially. Obviously, of course, we don't exactly know what that Big 12 schedule is going to look like. We don't know who those opponents are going to be. And according to the UCF AD, he said that it was going to come out this upcoming Tuesday, and then it didn't happen. Or he kind of rolled it back after he said there's still things behind the scenes that they're going. But I think they're winnable now. I don't think it's a given in terms of they're going to be able to go in and be guaranteed wins.
4. Tony M., you chime in and tell me how many you think the Cougs football team is going to win in the first year in the Big 12 conference games. Now, conference games. And of course, yes, we don't know who was it. Which one of the conference ADs? He tweeted out and I replied to a fan's question about the schedule. He said, what did he say? Like this coming week? And then
he said this coming Tuesday, the Big 12 schedule would be released.
And then he came back and said, well, close to the end of the month because a few things still being, finalized, still, got to dot some I's and cross some T's. So not yet. So, yep.
But they had been saying that it was going to get released. I think the initial, because Dana Holgorsen said it way back.
Oh,
in
Commissioner
November.
Yormark said that at the basketball tip-off, late November or December. And then he pushed it back to mid-December and he pushed it back. But he said that the delay has nothing to do with Texas and Oklahoma negotiations regarding an early exit for them to join the SEC. Well, Mr. Ohio State, you've heard us be critical of UH football for a while here on Folk Talking Sports.
Mhm.
4 wins, 4 conference wins seems like a lot to me. What do you say?
Honestly, I'm not running from the issue. I can't say because I don't know who they're playing. So it's difficult for me to even put anything on that without having a baseline of who they're playing, where they're playing, when they're playing. So I would definitely rely on you gentlemen.
Fair enough, but I'm going to turn the screws a little bit here. Okay, let's
Mhm.
say I don't believe they're going to play all 3 new members. UCF, Cincinnati, and BYU.
Mhm.
They might play 2 of them.
Mhm.
Okay, so Andy,
And I think they're going to be guaranteed to play UCF, correct? If
I think
they
that's
had been apparent.
their partner or whatever. Their partner. Okay, so let's say that's UCF's one of them. They play UCF.
Mhm.
Hell, I'm just going to name the other schools in the Big 12, and clearly they're not going to play all of them because they only have 9 conference games. Let's see if I can pull up a little graphic of the schools. TCU, we know they're going to play. How about that, Andy? TCU.
No, they can't beat TCU.
Baylor.
No.
Will.
No.
Iowa State.
Probably not, but I think it probably not.
Will.
No. Ohio's own Matt Campbell. Nope.
Kansas State.
Nope.
No.
OU.
Nope.
Hey, they had a
really?
bad year.
Andy, really?
Depends where the game is. Well, they probably won't play Oklahoma if they're playing Texas, so you never know.
Okay, so yeah, that's fair. Okay, Oklahoma State.
That's even that.
Toss
No.
up.
Yeah.
TCU.
That's one.
No.
Texas.
Wait, you said Texas? If because it's gonna be in Houston and hopefully it's on the campus of University of Houston. I can that'll be a win. 2. Yes.
He
Yes.
can't even say it with a straight face.
Why are you saying that,
Yes.
Andy? Why? Because of
Because
motivation
it'll
in the
be here.
crowd? Why?
Yes, it'll be a amped up game. When was the last time that the University of Texas was on campus?
They still have
Decades.
I think a better coach and better talent.
Hold up. So you said it'd be motivating.
Any given Saturday.
You said it'd be a motivation because it'll be on campus.
Yeah.
I think it'll just be a crazy game where anything is
No,
possible. Now I think
I'm just asking. You said it'd be a motivation because it'll be on campus, right?
I think that would be a factor that'll help.
Where did they play Kansas?
But Kansas and Texas are not the same thing. There
Right,
was
no,
30,000 people here.
Right.
It's a Big 12,
That'll
it's
be a
Big 12
sellout.
conference.
Texas
It's a
should be
Big
better than
12.
KU, though, right?
They should, but yeah, crazy other things have happened.
Okay.
I'm not
Tech.
saying that I'm not saying that Houston is better than Texas. I just think that on campus, I think they can beat them.
Hype up. Fine. Texas Tech.
Yes, even though they lost to them for the past
Thank you.
years
I
in
was
a
like, wait a
row.
minute, they lost to them this year. All right.
But yes,
Andy,
they can
keep in
beat Texas
mind,
Tech.
New quarterback for the Cougs. They're replacing Tank Dell, although the receiving core should be strong. But new quarterback, Clayton Tune is gone. That's a huge question mark with whoever they bring in.
Right.
And you still want to say, and clear, this is January 15th. We're going to change this come August.
I'm not.
Correct.
Okay. Well, some of these matchups, I'm not changing at all. Okay. But some of them, maybe. But whenever the schedule is announced, if it's this month or February, we can revisit this once we get the matchups because, whatever, we may not get the locations yet.
Mm-hmm.
West Virginia.
Yes.
West Virginia's it to me. That's it that I feel certain of. And even then, that depends on if it's here in Houston and not in Morgantown. So
I'll say yes.
I got one. Okay. One.
Okay, and then now the new additions too with
Well, we think they're
BYU,
playing. No, we only said they're going to play. We know for sure we're taking UCF.
UCF.
They're not beating Cincinnati.
Nope.
So I don't see them playing all 3 of them. So if we
But
did a
one.
combination of them,
I think they could beat BYU.
Ooh.
If it's not
grown-
improbable.
those grown men, I don't know about that.
All right.
Well,
eventually the Cougars has to become grown men too.
Eventually, yeah. And eventually, at some point, Dana might become a better coach. But but 4 wins, 4 conference wins. Okay,
No, I'm not saying that that's not the
you're not
hype or
guaranteeing it.
optimistic view.
You're
Absolutely not.
Yeah, you're not guaranteeing anything like
I
that.
stopped guaranteeing stuff with the Houston Cougars after Rice and Tulane way back when at the end of September.
But yeah, I mean, fair
Especially
enough.
after Tulane.
Okay, like I said, I feel strong about West Virginia. And that's it. I mean, I could see them maybe Oklahoma State, because I think Oklahoma State, Coach Gundy, he's on shaky ground. And it's just a matter of time of when he moves on, if they move on from him or whatever. But still, I think they have better talent.
And then look at let's add the non-conference slate. So we know that they're going to play UTSA, Rice, and Sam Houston. UTSA will be at TDCU. That Sam Houston game, I'm not sure where the first game will be. I need to double check.
They better be in Houston, not in Huntsville.
But then
going to Huntsville to play Sam Houston, hell no. That's a mistake.
But that's a home and home, is it not? They're going to play Sam Houston twice.
It better not be at home and home.
I believe it is. I think it's going to be 2. I need to double check. So I'm not 100%
if
sure.
It is, that's a fail. Because I'm not even sure what Huntsville seats, but oh no, my gosh, that's horrible if it is. But it'd be part of the course for the Houston Cougar administration. But but okay.
Let me try to find it. But just looking at the non-conference, I think they could go 3 wins there. They beat UTSA in the Alamo Dome. Now, you do make a great point when it comes to new quarterback on offense, not having the star receiver. And I believe Frank Harris will be coming back for UTSA as well.
Yes,
is that true?
For his life.
Okay,
year.
okay. Yes. Let me roll that back. Okay,
yes.
They probably will not be favored in that game against UTSA, but it will be a home game.
So it looks like, the Sam Houston, the second game is not till 2028.
Right. So it will be. So it is a home and home.
No, it's still, both of them are in Houston.
At Houston. Okay.
Yeah. So 2023, UTSA at Rice, home versus Sam Houston. So all 3 games are in Houston. So it's 3 Houston games. But, folks, Tony M, AKSV, give me your predictions. I texted some alums your 4-win prediction, and they said you must be on drugs. You must be in a drug test or whatever. And one said that's 3 too many. But it's all good, Andy. Stand your ground, man.
I think it can happen. Maybe I'm just the ultimate optimist. And no, you're right. And looking ahead at the remaining non-conference schedules, or the non-conference schedules that they have. So yeah, UTSA at home. That'll be September 2, and then they host, or they have to travel to Rice for. I think that's going to be the last time they do the Bayou Bucket for.
Yeah, that'll be a Cougar home game. So because I don't think Rice alums know football exists anymore over there at Rice. But
it'll be a new vibe on campus for Rice, right?
Well, they'll be in the
American Athletic Conference.
I think they'll be more hyped about.
They're going to be in a power
basketball than football. But and hell, Rice's recruiting class is pretty strong.
Yeah.
So,
this is interesting too. The 2025. Or not 2025, 2026. Then, of course, they have Utah on schedule. And then, like you said, 2028, Sam Houston will be when that second meeting is between those 2 schools.
Will.
Yes, sir.
Give me more
Tony M's on my track.
He said hope. He said hope. Will, what are your thoughts on Kevin Warren leaving the Big Ten for the Bears?
Happy for him. I mean, he's an NFL guy, COO of the Minnesota Vikings for several years, prior to him becoming Big Ten commissioner 3 years ago. So, I mean, it goes back to his element. The Bears are in the midst of securing funding land for a new stadium. Soldier Field is between you and I. I've been to Soldier Field. Soldier Field is 137 years old,
Mm-hmm.
in major need of upgrades, and so they're in the process of securing locations in Arlington Heights, suburbs of Chicago. So, and he was speaking of the Vikings as I watched them drive to tie the playoff game with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. He was instrumental in U.S. Bank Stadium being built in downtown Minneapolis as a COO of the Vikings. So I'm happy for him. I'm grateful for what he did for the conference, securing the $7 billion television deal. I don't believe that he's getting enough credit for what he did. And I hope that as years go on, and quite frankly, as checks come in, that Kevin Warren gets his credit and his just due. But sad for the conference. Sad for the conference. He came in under some heat during the COVID situation. He initially canceled the season due to the information he had at the time dealing with the coronavirus. Took a lot of heat. But as I told someone at the time, that's what commissioners do. They're hired to take the heat that the presidents and the ADs don't want to take.
Right.
That's what Roger Goodell is the prime example. He takes the heat that the 31 NFL owners don't want to take. And he's paid handsomely for it. And that's what Kevin Warren did. He did his job in that respect. But I've always had pleasant interactions with him. And I wish him well and continued success in Chicago.
Are the Bears hoping for a dome stadium? Did I read that right?
Yeah, in Arlington Heights, I think that is on the table. It's like a multi-use complex, shopping, restaurants, kind of similar to Patriot Place in Boston or Foxborough, if you will. But I think the centerpiece is a dome stadium that they could use to host other events, Final Fours, Super Bowls, things of that nature.
Have you heard anything about the next Big Ten commissioner?
No, they're in the process of putting search committees together for that. Officially, he's still officially commissioner of the Big Ten. He hasn't given or at least if he has, I have not heard a resignation date for Commissioner Warren. So still fairly new right now. So that has yet to be announced.
Would Gene Smith get a shot at it?
Gene has bigger aspirations. Such as president of NCAA. Gene's desired end game is being president of the NCAA. And I know Charlie Baker was just named former Massachusetts governor. Charlie Baker was just named NCAA president a few weeks ago. But Gene Smith has an ultimate desire to be named NCAA president.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder how long that would take to happen. Or if Charlie Baker would step aside and realize this is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
How long that would take. But yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Gene Smith and that position is a great example of being hired to take the slings and arrows that the president and everybody else wants to avoid.
Yeah.
Because Mark Emmert has been on everybody's stuff list for quite a while.
Absolutely.
Including mine. So, but before I forget, one more time, Folks Talking Sports is sponsored by 5-Star Properties, 5starprops.com. If you are, Dallas-based company owned by Utes alum, if you're facing foreclosure or need to sell your house as is for cash, call 972-532-SELL or visit their website at 5starprops.com. That's FIVESTARPROPS.com. I'm going to put on the screen briefly so you can see the number. So I'm going to have right there. Oops, wrong one. There we go, right there. 972-532-SELL, which is 972-532-7355, or visit the website at 5starprops.com. Well, what's the score of the football game? I don't even keep up football anymore, so
3:18 to go. New York Giants 31, Minnesota Vikings 24. The Giants have the ball.
Oh, so they didn't score?
Wow.
No.
Oh, okay.
Vikings down 7 at home, 3:18 to go. Giants have the ball 1st and 10 at the looks like midfield stripe.
Well, good for the G-men representing the NFC East. I know the Cowgirls. I think the Cowgirls play tomorrow, so I really don't care what they do, even though they are part of the NFC East. So,
do you think Tampa's going to win?
I hope so, because they're playing the Cowgirls. So, but I'm loyal to every other team in the division except the Cowgirls come playoff time. So, that's just how I'm being honest. Yeah, I'm petty. Don't really care. Don't care whatsoever. And at some point, when the Snyders sell the Commanders, I'll become a football fan again. But until that happens officially, don't care. Do not care at all. Will gave me the insight about Coach Rivera didn't even realize that they were eliminated from the playoffs when they lost. And that was like, really, that's just another example of they have no clue what they're doing over there with that franchise. But I digress. Speaking of woebegone franchises, the Houston Rockets, gentlemen, have now lost 10 in a row. 10 straight, Will. 10 straight, Andy.
Wow.
They lost to the Clippers today, 121-100. They're now 0-3 on this current 4-game West Coast trip. And once again, they had one crappy quarter. Today, they were outscored in the fourth. Check this out, Will. Andy. AKSV, Tony M. 30-10.
Fourth quarter, huh? Wow.
Fourth quarter. 30 and lost by 21.
Wow. So down 1 going into the fourth quarter.
Yes. 30-10. 7 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Against Sacramento on, was it Friday? It's all run together now. Friday, it was the third quarter. I think they gave up 43 points in the third, 43-26. And then Wednesday against the Kings, it was the fourth quarter when it was, I want to say,
it was a 1-point game again.
Yep.
Heading into the fourth.
40-20, something like that in the fourth quarter.
So weren't they without, was it Jalen Green and Jason Tate today?
Yes.
Today.
Yes, they were suspended one game for
leaving that bench area.
Leaving the bench area, yes.
Okay.
So they were without those two, plus Kevin Porter Jr. missed the game because of a left foot contusion.
Okay.
But first 3 quarters, they had great ball movement, assists. KJ Martin, Eric Gordon increased his trade value again. So Rafael Stone, based on Eric Gordon's numbers today, should trade him tomorrow. Just like he should have traded Eric Gordon last season when Eric Gordon scored 30 points against the Spurs on like 10 shots, and he didn't do it. He still has Eric Gordon on the roster, and Rafael. Make the phone call, do what you got to do, trade Eric Gordon, get something for him. I'm going to run it by you guys. I kicked it around last night on Let's Talk Houston Rockets. 3 trade proposals via Rockets Twitter, but were written about in an article on The Athletic by colleague Kelly Eco. First one, Eric Gordon to the Knicks, Cam Reddish, Derrick Rose. Keep that in mind. Second one, Eric Gordon to the Lakers for Patrick Beverley, Kendrick Nunn, and 2 second-round picks. Third one, Eric Gordon to the Bulls for Lonzo Ball.
What does Lonzo Ball fit for the Houston Rockets with Kevin Porter Jr., with Jalen Green? It's a bit of a carbon copy there, isn't it?
Well, first, if he's healthy, he's a point guard.
Yeah.
Scoot isn't really a point guard. He could be better coming off the bench or at small forward. But of those three, any of those appeal to you more at the most?
Well, selfishly, the Lakers. I mean,
In what sense? I mean, and Patrick Beverly and Kendrick Nunn's contracts expire this season, so they come off the books this summer.
Yep.
The other deals, D Rose has another year in his contract, and Lonzo has 2 more years on his deal.
LeBron needs shooters. LeBron needs shooters. That's just point blank period. And so, for Eric Gordon to go to LA, it's a shooter for LeBron. When they collapse, he drives, kicks him out, stand in the corner and shoot all day. That's fine.
Andy?
I think the Knicks and the Bulls package kind of get my attention more so. I would probably lean towards the Knicks package if I had to choose one, just because of Cam Reddish and kind of really how much potential there has been for him around him since going back to the days when he was with the Hawks. And it doesn't really seem like he's been able to find a niche with the Knicks and in the Tom Thibodeau rotation. And it's been an area of weakness for the Rockets for the past few seasons. I mean, Eric Gordon has been starting at small forward for a lot of the time for the Rockets last few years. Now, the reason I also include the Bulls package and Lonzo Ball specifically is because, granted, it is much more, I don't know if you can say it risky, but it's much more taking a flyer. And Kris,
Yep.
I agree 100% with what you said about Kevin Porter Jr. not being much more of a point guard, just in terms of being able to be a playmaker, a consistent playmaker for his teammates. I think Lonzo Ball, if he is healthy, that's something that he can excel at, and it's going to benefit tremendously Jabari Smith, Jalen Green, and whoever they get with whatever high draft pick that they have this season. So I think Lonzo Ball, while it's much more of a risk because we don't know what his status is going to be with that injury, is he going to come back and be the same player that he was before? Is he going to be 80% of the player he was before? But I think that would fit Houston. If it works out, it would work with Houston much more, just in terms of how it would be able to fit with all the other pieces they have around, especially say they finally win the lottery and they get the number 1 pick, and then they can have their complete set there with Victor and Jabari Smith and Jalen Green, and then you have a true point guard to go along with it. But I think the Knicks and the Bulls packages stand out much more than the Lakers per se, because Patrick Beverly and Nunn is just adding much more guards to a team that has plenty of guards already.
What do you say, Will?
Buyout opportunity. I'm coming on another site. So.
There we go.
All right, sorry about that. Well, again, I have ulterior motives for taking that Laker deal and not the Knicks, because Cam Reddish to the Lakers for 2 second-round picks sounds a lot better. For
You mean Eric Gordon?
Yeah, absolutely. So Cam Reddish, because Cam Reddish is still on a rookie deal,
right?
So you bring Cam Reddish in where the Lakers desperately need a small forward. They need shooting, but they also need a 3. They need a wing player. So if you can get Cam Reddish for 2 second-round picks and then still have Patrick Beverly and Kendrick Nunn $18 million in expiring contracts to deal elsewhere, I think that benefits the Lakers. I know this is a Houston show, but that's why I thought for taking that deal with the Lakers, because that frees up money, and that's buyout opportunities as well. That's $18 million that comes off the cap, versus Lonzo Ball is in a $92 million deal that you don't know that he's healthy.
And he's got more years. He has the most years of these 3 trade proposals.
Yeah.
So we'd cut into Rockets cap space, which I think they're going to try to fill via trade anyway this summer. But I think a lot of the fans last night, they leaned toward the Lonzo because of the high risk, high reward potential, and a few more for the Derrick Rose, Cam. Not very many wanted the Lakers, which kind of surprised me because of that numbers come off the books. So I'm like, made more sense to me, or even the buyout as well, because it's still coming off the books this summer. But just something to kick around there. Rocket fans, they lost 10 in a row. Rockets are now 10-33. And I'll put this up from Tony M. How many more chances will Cam get? I mean, he's young. He does have talent. If the Knicks trade him, and I think they probably will, because Derrick Rose doesn't play for the Knicks right now in the current rotation anymore. So the Knicks will be trading two guys who are not in their rotation for Eric Gordon, who would be a key in their rotation. Cam Reddish has potential. If he's traded to the Rockets, that'll be his third team. We all know what potential means. Potential means you have not done it yet. So will this be his last shot in the league if the Rockets trade for him and doesn't work out here? Or would he go to a fourth team? Cam and potential. Is it Cam's fault? I mean, Cam had some inconsistencies at Duke. Let's remember that. So he had moments where he disappeared. He still had moments like that, combined now with his defense being shaky. So would the Rockets do something like that? But anyway, Rafael do something. Trade Eric Gordon. Eric had a great, not sure what he did in the fourth quarter. Let's see if I can pull that up today. But he played well enough to be traded tomorrow. Rafael, the trade deadline is February 9th. Make it happen, Rafael. Make it happen. But Andy, Will, Tony M, anybody looking in on the Houston Roundball Review YouTube channel or us on Folks Talk Sports Twitter account. 10 straight L's for the Rockets. I believe Stephen Silas is going to be let go before the month is over. Does not mean it's going to solve any issues. I just think Tillman.
Did you say before the month is over?
For the month is over, yes.
Wow.
I think they're going to get waxed tomorrow by the Lakers. That'll be 11 in a row. Well, let me kind of say it a little bit. They have the Hornets on Wednesday. The Hornets are one of the three worst teams in the NBA. If the Rockets lose at home to the Hornets, that'd be most likely the 12th straight loss. I think that'd be it.
John Lucas for the remainder of the season?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And, let me say this. I have no inside info on this. This is not the same folks I heard from in late November, December. He said, Kris, Steve needs to win. Those folks aren't saying that now. Don't know what the hell's changed. I mean, I think Steven's dad passed away might have changed a little bit, give him more time, space. But 10 straight losses right now, could be 11, and then lose to the Hornets on Wednesday at home. Yeah.
Help me out. What was the record? What was the Rockets' record last year? Their last season.
For the whole season?
For the whole season.
20 wins, 20-62.
So they're half the way there now.
They're slightly behind that pace now.
Okay.
They're like a pace of 19 wins. 19, yeah.
Okay.
And Tillman said in June he expected more wins this season.
Based on what? How's the roster changed from last year to this year?
Jabari Smith, the high draft pick, Jabari Smith. Yeah, better. They have probably more younger talent.
That's my point. They got young.
Yeah.
Who's the veteran on this squad?
The guy who doesn't want to be here.
Right. That's you see. Yeah. Exactly.
What, isn't that Tillman's fault or Rafael's fault?
Right. Exactly.
They could have traded Eric last season. They should have last season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They should have traded him the same time they traded James Harden away.
But see that, and let me say this. I joked around, but I was kind of serious when I said it last night on the show. What if Tillman just says, you know what, because I think one of his sons was at today's game in LA. So I think the family has started to be at more games. But what if Tillman just says, look, My Cougs got a great chance to win it all this year. I'm not gonna worry about the Rockets for the rest of the season. I'm gonna spend time with my Cougs. But Rafael, come May 1st, now between now and May 1st, you put together a list of head coaches. But from here till April 1st, I'm going to enjoy this ride with the Cougars men's basketball team. Rockets lose, I don't care. What if he does that?
Speaking of that, all right, I got a question based on that. Is Kelvin Sampson at the top of that list?
No.
Okay.
I'll say no because I don't believe Tillman would want to mess up a great thing at UH to possibly improve, the Rockets. And Kelvin is not a head coach, an NBA head coach.
Okay.
Kelvin is a taskmaster. Okay. Kelvin is old school, and I'm not sure how long that old school mentality would work with these youngsters, no matter how much they may need it. I just, because these youngsters making 10, 12, 14, 15, $6 million a year. You said, what's it mean? What? No. And they shut it down. I think that could happen. And I think Kelvin would be like, I don't want to deal with the travel. I don't want to deal with all these guys. I'm king of the castle here in this program. Why do I want to, not be the king in the NBA? What do you think about that, Andy?
About Kelvin potentially being on that list, about him not wanting to go to the Rockets, or
about not wanting to go to the NBA?
As the light falls for a second time in this show. No, I agree with you 100%. And I think it was something that got tossed when Texas officially fired Chris Beard from their head coach. And obviously the rumors, not even rumors, but just the speculation of, Texas should go and reach out to Kelvin Sampson. And it makes no sense with what he's been able to establish and build at the University of Houston. Like you said, he's king with the University of Houston. Like, he's positioned the University of Houston program where currently they sit as the number one team in the entire country in both national polls. From here to the rest of the season, they're gonna continue to you can't predict the future, but you'd expect them to continue to cruise towards the American Athletic Conference tournament once they get into the NCAA tournament. To have to restart, whether that be in the NBA or even if it's anywhere else, which I think college, that's absolutely no, you got to shut the door at that. And then again, the situation where he has right now, he's working with Kelvin Sampson and Lawrence Sampson, his two children. It doesn't make sense for him to leave really for anywhere.
We'll see. And I heard it today. I'm going to say this as in the final few minutes. We've got a few more minutes to go. Is the game over yet, Will?
Yes.
Giants?
Yes.
31.
The Giants won.
Okay, the G-Men won. Okay. All right. Heard it some more today from some colleagues at UH practice. Asking some of the players about being number one in the poll, being number one in the AP poll, coaches poll, blah, blah, blah. And the players gave good answers today. We're not really harping on that. It's not. We're still going to play hard regardless. We know we're going to get the other team's A game, so it's not a big deal to us. And I think Jarris Walker said, being number one in January, it's nice, but I want to be number one. It counts at the end of the season. That's when I want to be number one. And I'm like, thank you. I don't understand why my colleagues, you're in the business of it. I understand it from the school perspective, because it's marketing, promotion. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
From media, I don't care where you're ranked in January.
Yep.
I don't care where you're ranked in November. Especially in the AP poll, the coaches poll, where some coaches, they don't even vote.
Right.
They got someone on staff to do the voting for them.
Yep.
Okay, so that's how much time they put into it. If any ranking that I do care about is the net ranking, because that's one of the things that the NCAA committee uses, or Ken Palm, one of those metric rankings. I don't care about the AP poll. I don't care about the coaches poll.
Yep.
Andy, I think Andy's come around to my thinking a little bit, but I'm not sure. Just what are your thoughts on it? Because you could guess which colleagues I'm talking about. Ask the questions about. And it was a lot because I think Jairus, Terrence, and Emmanuel Sharp spoke to after practice today, and each of them was asked about
All the freshmen?
what I thought about being ranked number one. My eyes rolled in my head. I was like, "Oh my God, really?"
No, I agree. And if we're thinking of the same person, I think the reason that's because it does make for a good soundbite for television. But no, like you said, at this point, and I think something was said after one of the Let's Reach Cougs. I think it was after they had beaten Cincinnati a week ago. Like, it's a good badge of honor to have right now. It's just, I mean, that's really what it is. It's not like if Houston can be the number one team in both polls for a certain amount of time, they're guaranteed to have a 1 seed, or they'll have a first round bye or anything like that. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter until, like you said, comes that final AP poll in April. If they're still number one in that poll, then that's going to mean that they won the national championship, and that's going to be an exciting thing. That's when it'll matter. That's when it'll be, hey, you're the number one team. You were able to prove it against the Gauntlet in the NCAA tournament. And like D-Skill said, no, like absolutely, that those questions, whatever they say, it's good for soundbite purposes. But at the end of the day, at this point, it doesn't really matter. I mean, for all you know, come tomorrow, they're not going to be number one just because they struggled against South Florida, and Kansas was been able to continue to stay undefeated in the Big 12. So
exactly,
it doesn't matter. Like, and Houston, it's not because Houston lost; it's just because Kansas, again, from a media perspective, has the better story. They have the subjective better schedule, tougher schedule, this and that. Again, it's not like going to be if they're able to have the number one seed or not the number one ranking for specific amounts. They're guaranteed a bye or the number one seed or anything like that. So, like you said, it doesn't matter.
And that scenario was discussed, Will, today at practice.
I agree. And that's what I agree with Skills. That's really what I was thinking. It's content. It's content. It's January 15th. We are 8 weeks away from Selection Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
What's there to talk about? So, but I'll say I saw something earlier today. And I encourage you guys to take a look at it and our viewers as well. Kara Lawson had a post on her Twitter feed. Head coach at Duke.
At Duke, yep.
Yeah. Head coach at Duke. Kara Lawson had a soundbite from her media availability. I'm not sure when it was. Fairly recent it seems, but she talked about chasing exactly this: chasing rankings, chasing polls, and she said we're chasing winning. She said, and one of the things she said that stuck out to me, and I encourage you guys to take a look at it. She said, "I've never seen the little number on the left side of your name score any points."
Yes.
I'm like, she's so right.
Yep.
She's so right. And by the way, they're 16-1 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Duke is 5-0 in the ACC. So and that's so true. There's 68 teams that get invited to the NCAA March basketball tournament. Not just the number one team.
Right. Oh, I get it.
I mean, I know
you guys know it, and these skills knows.
Yeah.
And I know why my colleagues do it. So clicks and all of that. But like I said, from a school perspective, it's good for marketing, promotions. Hey, we're number one. And the funny thing is,
for introduction perspective, it's pretty good to toss in there too. And they're doing
for
starting
for
lineup.
ESPN. Hey, tune in. We got the number one team in the country playing tonight on our channel. I get all that.
Yep.
But why don't the Cougs, for example, say they're the number one team in the net?
Who knows what the net is? We know.
More
Right.
diehard basketball followers and median fans.
Well, but see, then I think the school should do a better job, because that's more important to the committee, is the net and the Ken Palm and some of these predictive other rankings, not the coaches poll.
Yep.
Because it was discussed. that don't be shocked if KU moves to number 1 tomorrow and the Cougs go to number 2 because KU edged Iowa State in Big 12 play and the Cougs, are in the American.
And Kansas wasn't too far behind to begin with.
Right. They were close in the total points.
Mm-hmm.
And, if that happens tomorrow, there'll be some UH fans being just pissed off. Yeah, how dare they? We didn't lose. Oh. And you know what? Most likely they'll still be number 1 in the net. Okay. I mean, they still will be number 1 in the net. That's more important than the AP or the coaches poll. So I guess my part, Will, is if the schools don't start promoting the net ranking as being more important to the committee then the fans won't ever learn how important it is to be ranked in the net rather than the AP or the coaches poll. Will, where were the Tar Heels ranked last year before the tournament?
It's a great question. I don't even know.
Thank you. And where did they end up?
Number 2. Runner-up.
My point. But, I understand it media-wise, click-wise, all those things. And the fans, they perpetuate it as well. And it's more of the average fan because the true basketball fans, those diehard fans, they've gotten more into the metrics in KenPom and the net rankings and all those numbers instead of the AP poll and the coaches poll. But, let me step down from my soapbox and remind everyone that Andy Yanez predicted 4 conference wins for UH football.
Oh no,
this
I'm gonna
coming
get cooked
season
again.
In 2023, as
I
of
said they
January
could
15th. He said
prediction.
4.
So I'm gonna add a little asterisk, subject to change with more information as it becomes available.
Of course, and like I said, it's January 15th. Once the schedule comes out, we're going to revisit this and we'll see if you change your prediction. Andy, don't back. See, let me put this up on the screen so you can see it. Everybody can see it. Don't back check, man. Don't back check. Steve Furman, we're on Full Talking Sports, man. One of the things we are known for is being strong in our convictions of our opinions. If that's what you think right now, so be it.
I said they could get 4. It's possible, especially when you look at Texas. They'll be at TDCU Stadium. It'll be a high, crazy atmosphere. Teams
But
usually
see,
you never know any given Saturday.
No. Right there. Your logic is interesting for picking the Cougs to beat the Longhorns in that game.
Oh no, absolutely! It's not because Houston is going to be better. It's not. It's absolutely not because Houston is going to be the better football team for the season than the Texas Longhorns. But I think on that specific day, with all the history that there is between the two programs, I could see Houston pulling off the upset.
Let me say this. Let me ask this because you said the high, crazy atmosphere. Given what I know about the crowds,
it's
Houston,
Texas.
It's Texas. I would probably venture to say 80% of that high, crazy atmosphere will be UT fans.
I disagree. I think
60?
40 per. No.
Longhorn fans. Ooh,
I think
60% Longhorn fans. Yeah, it won't be 80%. Hell, it better not be 80% Longhorn fans. That would disappoint me greatly.
There's no chance. I think
not 80%.
But
I think 60%, yeah.
60% Longhorn fan?
Yeah, 40,000 people in
I don't think
TDECU.
so.
I think it'd be 25,000 Longhorns in there.
Listen, I know that the Cougars fans, especially when it comes to football, are fair weather, but it's Texas. If you can't have that game circled whenever the schedule comes out, because if it's whether it be this Tuesday, whether it's next Tuesday, whether it's a Tuesday 6 months from now, I guess 6 months will probably be too late. But whenever they release the schedule, that game needs to be circled. And every Houston Cougar alum that even is a remote follower of the program, there's got to be some type of buzz interest, because that, for the very least, it could be the last time that Texas ever visits campus in even more decades, probably ever.
How far is Austin from Houston?
3 hours.
All right,
so 2.5. Yeah.
Right now, January 15th. Let me tell you what's going to happen. All the Texas fans that can't get in the Darrell Royal Stadium know they can drive 3 hours to see UT. Those are the fans that are going to buy those tickets. Guarantee. You got Charles ready? You got Charles Barkley ready? I guarantee.
Oh, hold up. Let me get that ready. Let me get
it.
And your guarantee, your rationale is even unnecessary.
Guarantee.
Because there are a lot of Longhorn fans who live here in Houston.
Oh, well, say less.
So a lot of Longhorn fans who live here in Houston. And this is true as well. There will be Houston fans wearing burnt orange.
No,
I promise you that.
Wow.
I promise you. That's going to happen. We'll see. And there probably will be some Cougar alums, fans, whatever, who sell the tickets for economic reasons.
I wasn't even going to go there.
So that is also a possibility because they're going to make a profit off their tickets. And that might be a reason for more Longhorn fans inside TD ECU Stadium. A main reason that I could see less Longhorns and, we're getting close to 50-50 is because the Longhorn fans would be like, they remember Bleachergate and how that was us out shambles of the temporary bleachers. They still look down on Houston as Cougar High, or they're like, I don't want to spend money to watch us play them.
What's Bleachergate?
That kind of response. I don't want to see us play.
Know about Bleachergate.
The Cougars.
Help me out. What's Bleachergate?
A potential matchup. I'm not sure how long ago it was, but Cougars. This is years ago. Cougs were hosting the Longhorns. Slated to host the Longhorns at home on campus.
Okay.
They had constructed temporary bleachers.
Okay.
This is before TDECU was constructed. And Texas did not like the construction of those bleachers. Okay, so it was squashed and it became Bleachergate.
Okay.
So there's more details, but basically they were like, bleachers, we're not going to play it. No, we're not going to come. They use the excuse of the bleachers aren't even sturdy. They're not even built correctly. They're not sturdy enough for us. The equipment, all those kind of things. Basically, they're like, oh no,
right?
Bleachers? Oh no, we're not going to do that. We're the Texas Longhorns. No. So that could temper a little bit, but I think there'll be more Longhorns there. Not 80%. D-Skill said what he said, 70% minimum. I hope, boy.
Well, you know what? If the Houston Cougars athletic marketing department, what they need to do the moment that schedule gets released, they need to circle it. They need to do their giveaways. They need to get Shipley's Donuts on the line. They need to get Little Woodrow's. They need to get whatever the heck all their business partners are. Do giveaways. Do a whole bunch of different things. They need to figure out a way to make sure it's not 80% Longhorn fans, 70% Longhorn fans. I mean, my God, if you just follow Houston Cougars football, it's Texas. You're not going to have the opportunity to visit and see your Houston Cougars play the Texas Longhorns on campus probably for the next 100 years, if even that. That's probably being too conservative or too.
Let me stop. Listen to what you just said. They need to get all their business partners together and do giveaways. Why can't
they need to make sure that it isn't like that?
Why can't they?
And I thought that they don't even need to worry about having to do giveaways. Yeah, brokers are going to snap up those tickets and resell them in StubHub. That's absolutely true because they did the same thing with the Houston Cougars men's basketball team in the Alabama game, where you had tickets going for as much as $500 just to get into the building.
Michael Jones said what I said is not true. They had constructed the bleachers, but it rained heavily and caused the bleachers to be unstable.
Okay.
He was at the game. Okay, Mike, I'll take that for you. I've heard differently. I remember that. I heard differently. Before the rain. That's what I'm basing on. Before the rain came. But
Michael Jones, I'm curious to get your thoughts. Do you think it would be 80% Longhorn fans at TDC State? I need some lifeline here. I can't be the only one. Maybe I'm just a super optimistic person.
That's a policy that you talk about. They got to give away the tickets. Like,
well, I'm just saying they got to make sure that it's not 80% Texas Longhorn fans, and I don't think it will.
Well, they could advertise. They could start advertising on here. Full Talkin Sports.
I'll do the live read. I'll do the
Cougs.
reads personally.
Advertise on
my
GoCougs.com.
Twitter
There's
account.
a lot of places they can advertise instead of just a Chronicle. You know,
I will
reach different
personally
audiences,
be walking
you know.
around campus giving away tickets to make sure I'm right. Maybe I'm going
So,
too far, but
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying it's possible.
we
Any
shall
given
see.
Saturday.
You know,
And then, of course, sprinkle in West Virginia, Oklahoma State, BYU if they play BYU. I think it's possible.
oh, see, Michael's put it. He said it depends on the record of
It's
the
Texas.
Cougs.
Goodness, it's Texas. And then if they're going to be hosting what I'm curious to see is what that turnout is for the TCU game, which is reportedly going to be the first conference game ever in the
Yes.
Big 12 for Houston.
Right.
I mean, it's TCU. They're just coming off the national championship game. Now, there I could see a lot more purple. I know that TCU
Okay.
fans don't tend to travel as much.
How about this response right here?
wow.
He's
I would sell my
his
UT
tickets.
Yeah, he's
Pay
right
for
about
his
that.
entire season. Economics.
You're right about that. I won't even comment on that. How much for season tickets? $100 for season tickets?
What?
Around there?
Probably. I mean, let's say there will be
Maybe
a bump in price. So
Maybe I'm not
let's
reading
say,
it right.
and that'll probably
Something around
be
there.
the Longhorn game will probably be what? One of those dynamic pricing games. So it will
I'm
cost
sure.
more individually.
Oh, I'm sure.
But
Cost
season
more.
ticket.
That's more like what?
It's
Well,
still,
you could, if you bought
mere
it straight from
kittens.
the site, you could walk into any Cougars game for $25 this past season. And once you got into the secondary market, there was tickets. What game was it? I want to say it was against South Florida when tickets were as low as $7, less than $7, which was against South Florida.
Face value is $25.
Yes,
All right.
sir,
Yeah.
from the official website. But that's
Unbelievable.
general admission.
Yeah,
General
general
admission.
admission. That's not.
Price game. I think. Let's see. Last year,
It varies from 25 to 35.
35. Wow. Ooh. Sorry.
Michael combined a few things in his comment with this one. Salute to you for being a season ticket holder for 20 years first, but he's scared to see this to Andy's prediction. He's scared to see what happens up front based on what he saw this year because the Cougs have no size up front on D-line. That's very
And it'll
true.
only get worse because they won't have D'Anthony Jones.
Ohio State played Arkansas State
Or Derek
last year.
Birch.
That was the lowest price ticket, and that was $89 because it was Arkansas State.
That's pretty close to season tickets here.
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
season
Michigan,
ticket price might be
like
$150 this year because it's Big 12. Maybe $150.
Season tickets. I think one season ticket this year was like $986, almost a grand. A little more than a grand, maybe per
But
ticket.
yeah, I think the prices should be announced. I think next month they'll start going out in February
Or once
or
they have
March.
the actual schedule.
Yeah.
Still haven't made no noise about the spring games.
Yep, another issue
Inching
there.
closer and closer and
You
closer.
need to start. Good grief, people start promoting and planning for the spring game in April. Come on, get the word out with that.
And
Start hyping up your football season and get fans excited about the upcoming season in the Big 12. Well, Will.
in the interest of full disclosure, Ohio State hasn't mentioned the spring game either.
But you're Ohio State, Will.
I know. I just like poking the bear sometimes.
Oh
man.
no, I like poking the bear, so I have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
But all right, gonna wrap it up. Michael Jones, thank you for your comments and your insight. I really do appreciate it.
We had more people pop up just so they could see my predictions once again. I got to cook this shit.
Well, I didn't tweet that part. I didn't tweet that prediction. So, but that's good. Your prediction, and it may change once the schedule comes out and we know the matchups and dates and all those locations. That's fine. But one more time. Andy Yanez here, January 15th, on this edition of Folks Talking Sports, predicted that Houston Cougars football team would win 4 conference games in the first season in the Big 12.
Subject to change.
Subject to change.
And apparently it's looking more like people would expect an 80% UT crowd for that game.
No,
It's reportedly going to happen.
No. I think we said 80% would be embarrassing. Most of us are around 60%. D Skill said 75% minimum.
Still embarrassing.
But reminder, this has been a lot of fun these last few minutes talking about. Folks Talking Sports is sponsored by 5-Star Properties. The website, 5starprops.com. 5-Star Properties is a Dallas-based company owned by a UH alum, and I wonder if he's going to make the trip to come down for this game against the Longhorns. If you are facing foreclosure or need to sell your house as is for cash, call 972-532-SELL. One more time, that phone number is 972-532-SELL, or visit the website at 5starprops.com. FIVESTARPROPS.com. So
we're a basketball school.
We are. Yes.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Now. But let me say this, and I'm going to poke the bear. Football is the moneymaker.
Yes.
In college athletics.
Mm-hmm.
So it is imperative for UH marketing to start acting like and promoting the football program. Okay, yes, clearly the men's basketball team, number one, is nationally relevant. But basketball does not pay the bills. Okay? Basketball is not the reason for the huge media rights deals. It's football. I understand that. That's reality. I don't like it because I'm a basketball guy. But Michael Speed, get a coach. That would help. I understand that. The frustration with Dana. Oh, I get it. Trust me, I get it. And I've let him to Dana many times. And we'll continue to do so as long as he's coaching the football team at Houston. But you got to promote the program, the football program. Hell, this is the first year in the Big 12. Start doing that. Start getting your fans excited about the move to the Big 12. Please start doing that. Willy Gibson, thank you for your NFL updates. There's another game today, is there? Tonight?
Cincinnati, Baltimore.
Okay. And Baltimore.
How can people find you on the internet? Oh, well, we'll get to what Andy does it. Well, how can folks find you on social media?
I appreciate it, as always. You can find me social media platforms at Will Gibson 7, Twitter at Will Gibson 7 on Instagram, Will Knows on Facebook, and WTGsports.com.
And when's your next game you're going to be covering the Cavs? Cleveland Cavaliers.
Tomorrow, New Orleans Pelicans, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, Zion's still out. That'll still be a fun game, though.
Yep.
And Andy Yanez, the floor is yours, sir, of Gallery Sports. How can folks find you and interact with you and your 4-win prediction?
Yes, sir. They can let me know how terrible that prediction is at @Yanez_5. What I can guarantee about that game is that the Let's Rage Cougs about it will certainly be must watch, because I will be celebrating a Houston win. I don't care what you guys say. I'm putting it on the record now. I guarantee Houston will beat Texas.
Whoa.
Subject to change.
Excited.
Guarantee.
I even broke the folks talking sports. You know what? I'm going on a limb. Somehow, I don't care if they go 1-11.
Andy, say it again.
That'll be the win. They will beat the University of Texas, and it'll ruin the Longhorns' chance of even making the college football playoff. What they haven't.
Guarantee.
And I said what I said. Be sure to, like Kris said, be sure to check out my work covering the Houston Cougars football team, which 9 months from now, it'll be covering the Houston Cougars and the Texas Longhorns. And then, of course, there's D's number one Houston Cougars men's basketball team. It's a little bit good, playing over at the Fertitta Center as well. So check out my work for gallerysports.com. As always, be sure to check out Let's Rage Cougs. I'm going to replace Andy with a graphic that says UH will beat Texas in the intro. Go ahead, put it. We got 9 months to build it up. I said what I said. I don't care if they go 1-11 for the season. That one win will be against Texas with a 80% Texas Longhorn crowd at CDC Stadium. But anyways, be sure to check out my work, gallerysports.com. I'll be in New Orleans for Houston and Tulane this coming Tuesday. And Let's Rage Coug streaming live after every Houston football and men's basketball post game. Streaming after every game because we're the unofficial post game show of Houston Cougars football and basketball. Yes, you know what? I'm gonna get Dana Holgorsen. Put me on the line. I'm gonna show him these clips. They're making fun of me because I said Houston's gonna beat Texas. Well, I believe in you guys. I believe that the Cougars, enough of the Cougar high, enough of 80%, enough of not being able to promote your own football program. But on this one day, this one Saturday, you will be better than that school over at Austin. And that's the bottom line because I said so.
All right. Hey, Stone Cold.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about, Andy. Speak it from your chest. There you go. That's what we do here on Folk Talking Sports. Thank you, young man. All right. I'm Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. You can catch me on Twitter at the VHR Review, HoustonRoundballReview.com, Houston Roundball Review on Instagram, and of course on YouTube. And boy, I did a really poor job of it today. But our show, and thank you to the folks, the new folks who popped in with comments for catching us, but Folks Talking Sports on Twitter at Folks Talk Sports. You can follow us there. Andy's stirred the pot, got some interest with the fans. So Andy's a hype man now, Will. We got our own hype man now.
Hey.
So that's great.
I don't know. I know they don't do the Who's House for football games, but if they did for this one game, let me do it. I don't care. I'll go down the press box, go into the middle of the field, and start the chant, and then remind it that this will be the game that you guys need to win.
What's the Who's House chant?
Whose house?
It's a chant they do during basketball games where they hype up the crowd by saying "Whose house," and the crowd is supposed to go "Coug's house." It's kind of like the Rams chant, but Houston did it first, so the Rams. I don't know where they got it from, but a lot of Cougs fans say they stole it from Houston, like that.
Hey, Kris, I'll do this. Maybe Run DMC did it first. Who Run's house? I don't know.
That's what they got it from.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But anyways,
I'm just picking.
But thank you very much for this fun-filled, info-filled edition of Folks Talking Sports, sponsored by 5 Star Properties. One more time, thanks to 5 Star Properties. Give them a call, 972-532-SELL, 972-532-7355, or visit their website, 5starprops.com. For Andy Yanez, Willy Gibson, I'm Kris Gardner. Thank you, as always, for tuning in and joining us on the Folks Talking Sports. Might have a different crew next weekend because I'm not sure, because the Cougs have a game Sunday afternoon at 2 against Temple. So we'll be doing Let's Rage Cougs. And Will might be doing Folks Talking Sports after that. So just tune in and follow us on our Twitter handles. Thank you as always for this. It's been a lot of fun today. Until next time, take care. Peace.